Marco Monaco, the co-founder of TAC. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi, Avi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining. So before we get started learning about TAC and what you're trying to accomplish there, can you give us a rundown of your crypto journey and how you got started and how did that lead you to co-founding TAC?
Sure. Yeah, I started very early in the process. It was like late 2012, and I got in touch with the Bitcoin white paper, and like my mind was blown away out of that. I used to be working as an enterprise architect for a system integrator company here in Italy. And when I saw the Bitcoin white paper, I basically started spending all my free time on getting deeper into the Bitcoin paradigm, and especially on the tech side. It took me like a couple of years to start to really engage deeply with the crypto market because I wanted to do something on Bitcoin, but it was very difficult at the time, because there was no way to monetize with wallets, and there was no way of building anything on Bitcoin that was requiring very giga brain when it comes to cryptography expertise. The only positive way was basically engaging with the community, bootstrapping a community, or contributing to the Bitcoin core, but it was too much over my technical skill set. And I was following Vitalik at the time. He used to write on Bitcoin magazine. And when he came out with the yellow paper, I was like, oh, finally I can actually do something. I did the Ethereum pre-sale, and I waited for 1.5 years for Ethereum to go live. And when Ethereum went live, I started engaging with the community, being an advisor to multiple startups launching on Ethereum. And then I joined Consensys. Consensys is one of the oldest and biggest company in Ethereum space, founded by the Ethereum co-founder Joe Lubin. I spent my time at Consensys doing sales and biz dev. So I was able to see most of the inner of the Consensys product, like MetaMask and Fura, Consensys staking, and other Consensys projects going with TradFi and banks and governments and central authorities and blah blah blah. And within Consensys, I saw projects spinning out very successfully. Many people don't know, but out of Consensys spin out, we can mention, I don't know, for example, Gnosis, we can mention Gitcoin, we can mention Pull Together, many very interesting projects are actually coming out of Consensys. And that was very lucky for me because over the time I was able to look and develop more skills about crypto than just the technical one. And within Consensys, I basically found this amazing R&D project that was the Consensys ZK EVM in the R&D department of Consensys. And I basically, together with the head of R&D and a few other people from the R&D, we co-founded Linea. So we basically went to talk to Joe, and we took the project out of the R&D and create a new product line for Consensys that was Linea. Linea is a layer 2 on top of Ethereum. I spent 3 years of my life on Linea, and then I met Pavel. Pavel is probably the best co-founder I ever met in the space so far. And we started talking about Ton and about the distribution of Telegram, and how EVM can actually bring more value to Ton. And that's when I decided to basically jump out of Consensys, jump out of Linea, jump out of Ethereum for the first time since Ethereum was born, and embrace the Ton ecosystem, building TAC that is trying to make Ton better, provide more utility to Ton and Telegram users by helping EVM developer to go live on Ton without having to rewrite their code. So that's my journey so far.
Got it. Yeah. So a true Ethereum OG hoping over to Ton to try to help them there with the EVM and the apps. Can you tell us what made you make that jump? Like other than obviously meeting Pavel and like on the technology side or the community side, like what do you think that Ton brings to the table that made you want to join it?
Yeah, it's this distribution thesis that I developed over time. When we started Linea, the discussion was about spinning out from Consensys. And the discussion with Joe was, I mean, if we spin out Linea, we can get some good money investing into this project. At that time, Layer 2 were pretty well funded. It was very easy to raise from VCs with Layer 2. But the point is that we will have been another Layer 2 like all the other. The real advantage of doing Linea within Consensys was tapping into the MetaMask distribution. Like looking around, I was looking at Solana, which I was very curious about in the very beginning because of the VDF approach of Solana. And even there, Solana was pushed a lot by FTX. That was one of the biggest distribution channels. Binance Smart Chain with Binance. Later on, we saw Base with Coinbase. All the successful things in crypto that are really successful and long term, they were able to do that through a solid distribution channel. So the idea was we can mix up MetaMask and Linea, making MetaMask basically working to bootstrap and to onboard users on Linea, working as a distribution channel basically with a deep product integration. And the idea clicked very well with Joe at the beginning. Then this actually turned out to be more difficult than I was expecting. And when I met Pavel, he pitched me about the idea of the Telegram distribution. That is something like 30 times bigger than the MetaMask distribution when it comes to distribution opportunity, because Telegram at that time were holding something like 950 million monthly active user. Now it's well over 1 billion monthly active user. Probably there's no distribution channel that we can see like this, like even compared to Binance, there are 1 billion monthly active users on Telegram compared to 100 million, I would say, monthly active users on Binance. Of course, there is a difference because the distribution on MetaMask is powerful because the target market is super aligned. On Binance, the target market is quite aligned. On Telegram, it's not really aligned. But the real difference is that actually Pavel was able to pitch me was that Telegram is very into leveraging the blockchain technology within the core product. And that makes all the difference in the world because the 1 billion users on Telegram are not crypto users, but Telegram is super okay to use blockchain within the product. Like, for example, not everybody know, but your Telegram username is an NFT on Ton. You can buy numbers that are phone numbers that you can use to use Telegram that are NFTs on Ton. There is a solid DNS like ENS system, ENS-like system that is used by Telegram that is on Ton. So there are so many opportunities when you have a distribution channel big like this that is willing to leverage blockchain functionalities. And one of the most interesting one, of course, is the embedded wallet. Every Telegram user, unless you are in some specific geolocation, every Telegram user has already a wallet that is already like preloaded into Telegram. So no need to download a new wallet, no need to set up a new wallet. Everything is already there. I can just pick any Telegram user and I can send them USDT and they are into crypto. So when you have a distribution channel that is so big and is also so committed to use the blockchain and crypto in general, it basically let you understand that the distribution that can come out of this is massive. So it was a very unique opportunity for me, and that's what brought me to this idea.
Yeah, it all makes a lot of sense. But I think the word you mentioned the most is distribution. I didn't count, but well over 20 times, I would say. You mentioned distribution, and I saw on social media that you describe yourself as a distribution maxi. Can you
Yeah,
explain to us
yeah.
what do you mean by that? What's the
It's,
mindset there?
yeah, it's literally technology counts to some extent, we have seen so many projects with amazing tech not going over in crypto, and that's especially because of lacking of the distribution. So technology is important to some extent. It must work, it must be credible, it must be secure. But out of this, the most of the success in this market is given by distribution. I mean, we have seen network with centralized validation or prone to sensors or with just a multi-sig holding billions of users, And that's because the tech is not the moat. The real moat is the distribution. That's what I mean, So we are trying to make the Tron blockchain to become more useful by onboarding more dApps and tapping into the biggest developer ecosystem, that is the EVM developers, Solidity developers, So think about this way. If you look into the EVM world, Ethereum and all the other EVM chain, you have like a pyramid, where on top you have not enough user compared to the number of developers that sit on the bottom of the pyramid. If you look at Ton, you have the reverse pyramid. You have so many users on Ton and on Telegram, but not too many developers because of tech complexities, because the Ton blockchain is very difficult to work with if you are coming from the Ethereum world. So what we're doing is we are bridging these two worlds. We are trying to bring Ethereum developers or Solidity developers to be able to go live on Ton without having to rework all their applications. Basically, we are plugging distribution. We are giving distribution to all these sophisticated use case that we're able to innovate in the last 7 years, basically 7 to 8 years.
And what exactly are some of the use cases that you see, coming to Ton, right? Obviously, games had their moment. Maybe they're going to be successful in the future, but are you looking at DeFi options or identity? What do you see as the use cases that developers should focus on right now?
Yeah, so Ton blockchain works pretty well for some use cases already. Like to some extent, I don't even believe that if Ton was built with EVM, it would have been viable. If you just look at a very simple use case with this payment, sending USDT from a Telegram user to another, if that use case that has a very great product market fit will reach 1 billion users, probably the EVM will have too many bottlenecks to be able to support it, So not just latency, but tailored transaction, congested network, high fees, and things like this. So Ton works already pretty well for some use cases, like token management, NFT, token transfer, payments in this case. These use cases are great on Ton, and probably they should be on Ton. When teams reach out to us and they say, oh, I want to create an NFT platform on TAC, we basically send them to Ton, we introduce them to the Ton Foundation, because it's actually not where we are focusing on. What we're focusing on is everything that was done on Ethereum or EVM chain in the last 7 years. The technology on the EVM world basically innovates gradually because builder build on top of each other. Look at Morpho. Morpho started building, I believe, on Compound. And, they evolved into a new type of lending by starting building on something that was already successful at the time. That's just one of the examples. So this, I don't know, there is a word for this that does not come out to me, like additive innovation, incremental innovation. This incremental innovation requires time if you need to scratch out the EVM. Like if you want to have the same level of innovation on the Ton blockchain, it requires time. That's it. So we're trying to basically shorten this time by letting this incremental innovation to directly tap into Ton. And that's why we're focusing on things that cannot be done today, because what's the innovation when it comes to issuing an NFT? What's the innovation when it comes to creating or sending a token? You can basically do that on without issues. The issue is finding a lending market or a DEX that was able to do incremental innovation for the last 7 years. And today it's much more sophisticated and efficient than a lending market or a DEX that was on Ethereum mainnet 7 years ago, right? Even Uniswap, you see Uniswap is now at V4 with UX. On the biggest DEX does not have considered liquidity. Is the equivalent of a UniV2 basically, right? So if you want to have this incremental innovation on Ton, it will take years. So we are focusing on things that can benefit from this incremental innovation that happened in the last 7 years. And of course, the biggest of the priority is DeFi, because DeFi is always the best way to bring utility to a chain. If you don't have yield opportunities, if you don't have organic activity coming from organic usage of DeFi, the blockchain is not really useful, right? If it's just about NFTs or token, the blockchain will fail to be useful even when it comes to the native token. Because if there's no DeFi, there's no chance of or no reason for a person that holds the native token of locking the native token somewhere. So you see this high circulating supply with very low TVL because there are no DeFi opportunities. And we all know that high circulating supply means usually the token needs much more to go up in terms of price. With DeFi, tokens tend to be locked into staking, tend to be locked into markets. So circulating supply is still there, but it's locked in contracts. So it's much easier for a token to do price discovery, Yeah, so we are focusing on things that cannot be quickly done on Ton. And out of these things, and can benefit from the innovation of done in the last 7 years on Ethereum. And out of this, the most urgent one is DeFi. So we are focusing a lot on DeFi side. There will be other things we will work on, like for example, you mentioned identity. That's another perfect example. Identity concept on Ethereum started, I believe, 7 or 6 years ago with Uport. Uport was one of these first projects, by the way, another Consensys spin-off. Yeah, so identity since then evolved a lot with the concept of on-chain attestation like Verax or EAS, with the concept of decentralized reputation protocols like Karma Labs, with the concept of DKTLS. All these innovation were done in the last 7 years, 6 years on Ethereum mainnet. We can port them instantly on Ton side. And think about how much benefit a super app like Telegram can have by relying on, I don't know, a decentralized reputation protocol. Think about bot controls, like I only accept DM from people that are in my circle of connection, in my social graph with pretty decent social score. And I automatically reject all the other DMs of other users. I will instantly bring down the scams. I will bring down the bots account, the fake account, so Telegram actually will benefit a lot out of this. So this will definitely be a priority for us, but we are firstly focusing on DeFi.
Yeah, that last one sounds especially needed. You can expand that to Twitter also. That'd be great.
Yeah, if Twitter will love to embrace blockchain, that would be an amazing use case. That's the difference I was telling you, right? Like Telegram is very keen to experiment and use these features, so that's the big potential that we have here.
Yeah, sadly, I don't know why, but maybe if somebody's gonna develop a solution on the Dogecoin, right, blockchain, maybe Elon will jump on it. I don't know. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about the like the tech stack, like for people that understand, like developers that listening, not necessarily me, but like what actually are you offering in terms of like technology? How does it different than a bridge or other solutions that allow you to move like from Ethereum to Tom?
Yeah, this is very important question. Thanks for touching on this. So what we are doing here, it's not rocket science. We are not building like ZK with inference and TLS or like any other jargon that I can put on the table. What we are doing is yeah, so what we are doing is just taking whatever exists already on the market and mixing all of that together, like doing a receipt, you know. So TAC, inner side TAC is a layer one. It's based on Cosmos SDK. Why this? Because we need an EVM execution environment because Storm blockchain cannot run EVM code, and we need an EVM execution environment. So we went over multiple um, ideas and analysis on how to do that, and we ended up running a Cosmos SDK chain. Why Cosmos? Because it's super battle tested. You know, we got the best Cosmos SDK example that we have live today is Polygon. Polygon proof of stake is still there years later. We're able to scale to decent amount of throughput, as we've seen with Poly Market during the election. And it's the right trade-off between decentralization and throughput, and it's also because running in Ethereum layer 2 for us would have created too much of a dependency on an external ecosystem like the Ethereum network when we are a Ton native project, so we would have been perceived not Ethereum aligned from Ethereum people, not Ton aligned from Ton people. So we opted to run our own layer one, that is a Cosmos SDK. And the other reason is that we will work with Babylon because we want to be a BSN, Bitcoin Security Network, to improve even further the level of security that we provide. And then this EVM execution environment needs to be plugged into Ton. And that's what we really built. Our core expertise in our tech team, it's building this cross-chain framework that it's not just a bridge, The core, it's a bridge, but we developed other things on both sides, on Ton and on TAC, in order to create a framework. And this framework let you do atomic interaction, where basically users send transaction on Ton, and this transaction execute EVM contract and goes back to Ton. And this is atomic, done in atomic way. So if anything breaks or reverts during this process, the whole transaction reverts on Ton side. And this is actually what we provide to the market. This cross-chain framework is called Ton Adapter, and the layer one is the TAC EVM network. And combined, they let any EVM developer to go hybrid. What does it mean, go hybrid? I'll give you the example with Curve Finance. Curve Finance is one of the first projects that decided to go live with us. Like the Curve team was looking into the Ton ecosystem since a while. And when we started talking to them about our idea, they instantly bought it. And they went live on Ton using TAC this way. The EVM code are deployed on the TAC EVM chain. So all the Solidity code are deployed on the TAC EVM chain. There is a front end that goes live on Ton. So people on Ton can connect to this front end with their Ton wallet. And this front end uses an SDK that we provide. It's called a TAC SDK to basically craft custom Ton transaction. This custom Ton transaction has a custom payload that instructs our cross-chain layer, the Ton adapter, to execute code on the EVM side. So user on Ton can use the front end on Ton to send transaction on Ton, paying fees on Ton token. They don't even know that TAC exists. But what's happening on the back is that every time they send a transaction, the transaction trigger a cross-chain execution on the EVM contract deployed by Curve. So how would you define this? Is it a bridge? No, it's not just a bridge. It's a framework. But it's more than this. It's also an EVM chain. The EVM chain hosts the Curve contracts. So the pool are on TAC. The Curve pool are on TAC. So it needs to be secured. So it's a layer one. It needs delegated proof of stake and in the future Babylon Bitcoin security to secure this smart contract. So all this combination does not fit into the L1 category, does not fit into the L2 category, does not fit into bridge category. That's why we came up with the new category that is called network extension, inheriting it from Solana thesis lately. And it's literally all of this because, again, it's pretty unique. It's one of the first time that you see a layer one blockchain working combined to another layer one blockchain. There is some example, like I could give you Gnosis. Gnosis was probably extremely important to understand the MEV boost concept on Ethereum. You know, Gnosis, many people see Gnosis as an Ethereum testnet on steroids. The only Ethereum testnet that let you test the adversarial context. I can mention Liquid for Bitcoin, where it's basically the implementation of element alpha of Bitcoin Core. It's where new Bitcoin features are tested, right? So there are other cases like this, but in our case, it's even more integrated because again, Ton user send transaction on Ton. They don't even know the TAC exists.
Very interesting. But can you expand a little bit on the cooperation with Babylon and what does it mean, like from a Bitcoin holder, Bitcoin user perspective, like what's it's gonna offer, when it's implemented?
Yeah, I mean, we are waiting for the Babylon team to start offering the BSN service. It's very simple. Bitcoin people have a way to, in a fully self-custody and trustless way, to decide, allocate their Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain to secure an external network. Babylon created this concept that was introduced, I believe, I saw the white paper in 2015. It was called Covenant on Bitcoin. And they basically found a way to implement it without any Bitcoin hard fork. It's just using pure cryptography. The Babylon founder is a super great mind when it comes to cryptography. And he found a way to let a Bitcoin user to lock Bitcoin under some condition, and this condition are the slashing condition. So basically, on the Babylon chain, Babylon validator will be able to verify double signature on blocks. So they will be able to verify that the consensus on any other blockchain is respected. If there are double signature block and this validator will treat them as normal, then they will be slashed. And being slashed means that the Bitcoin of the Bitcoin holders on the Bitcoin blockchain will be slashed. So there is a solid economical reason for this validator to not cheat and raise up issues when it comes to consensus of third-party chain. It's pretty much like the concept of eigenlayer staking on Ethereum mainnet, but eigenlayer offer you programmable slashing, so you can define the slashing condition. With Bitcoin and Babylon, this is not possible, so the only slashing condition is the double signature. So they are a sort of consensus security booster that taps into the Bitcoin economical TVL, basically. Bitcoin economical scarcity. So people will be able to pledge Bitcoin, to stake Bitcoin, to make sure that the TAC consensus is operating as expected and nothing bad is happening. There's no consensus attack. And this is very important. If you look, for example, Berachain did this Boyko campaign. They onboarded billions of TVL, but at some point, Berachain was trading as a token, was trading at 1 billion. That it's mind-blowing because if you have 3 billion secured on a network, buy a token that is not even 1 billion, where the staking percentage is like 10%, something like this, it just requires someone to have enough money to steal all the other money, So that's pretty mind-blowing, like a network secured by something like $500 million was holding more than $3 billion of TVL. Anyone with more than $500 million were able to attack the consensus and steal all the money, This is likely the case for new layer one because now the market does not trade with fundamental anymore. The market follow other dynamics. So usually we're used that a layer one needs to trade at least 5 to 6 times more than the TVL. That's not the case anymore. Berachain teach us this. So we want to make sure that this is not going to be the case for TAC. So whenever Babylon will be live with BSN, we will be able to count on the TAC token when it comes to the security of the network and processing of transaction. But Bitcoin stated token in Babylon will be able to secure the consensus of TAC, the consensus layer of TAC. And basically, we are renting out the security from Babylon, and we will pay back Bitcoin stakers that decide to validate the TAC chain with Babylon a percentage of our inflation.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
The whole idea of Bitcoin staking and bringing TVL from on Bitcoin. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Very
it's
interesting.
not really about TVL, right? Like, because users don't have to deposit Bitcoin on TAC. It's literally Bitcoin stays on the Bitcoin blockchain, and they are pledged to verify the consensus of TAC. So it does not affect the TVL, but it secures the existing TVL. So if you have $4 billion of Bitcoin staked to validate TAC, your TVL can go up to $4 billion. Nobody will be able to attack the network to steal the money. So you will not have the better chain case, basically. And regarding of the TAC token.
Gotcha. Yeah, but it's very interesting. Very, I mean, from Bitcoin holders' point of view, it's going to be very hopeful development, right? To keep your holdings active, right, or generating yield. Can you tell us also about the summoning campaign? I understood you had a lot of success there, so you can tell us, what was it about and what did you achieve over there?
Yeah, I was talking about the Boyko campaign because it's basically the same thing. So when I started building on TAC, I quickly realized that there was a huge appetite from developers. Like we onboarded probably I would say 80% of the Ethereum blue chip DeFi protocols, including many assets that are very interested in tapping into the Telegram user base and Ton user base. And I found out that there was appetite because, like I said with Curve, that's the case for many other teams. A blue chip protocol like Morpho, for example, or Curve, for example, going on another layer 2 does not bring too many users, because once you are on Arbitrum, once you are on Base, once you are on Ethereum mainnet, you basically cover the large part of the Ethereum users. So for this protocol, going live on another layer 2 does not bring a lot of new users. While going live on Ton, let them tap into these hundreds of millions of users that were onboarded through the tap game meta. There are many users that started playing a game like Notcoin, like Hamster on Telegram, and they created a wallet and they have some asset into this wallet. But then they stop. They probably are not even aware of Ethereum. They stop at their crypto journey there. These are all new prospect users for these players, for these DeFi blue chip protocols. So all of them were looking into go live on Ton. And basically, when we started talking to most of these protocols, they were like, guys, you are solving an issue for us because we wanted to go live on Ton. But that means rewriting our own stack, investing months in understanding how Ton works. And we are not even sure that we will get product market fit on Ton. So you give us the ability to go live in a couple of weeks on Ton because we don't have to rewrite our stack. So we were solving an issue. So realizing that TAC will have no users because, as I told you before, our users are Ton users. So there is already a pre-bootstrapped network of users that is pretty big. We're talking about, like, I believe 46 or 50 millions monthly active users. For like a layer 2, this is a dream, having all these users on the network. We got developers because developers were interested and they were reaching us to go live on Ton. What we were missing was the liquidity because we are focusing on DeFi, and DeFi without liquidity doesn't work. So I reached out to SC, that is the founder of Turtle Club, is a very close old friend. We worked a lot together even on Linea, like with Turtle Club, we brought Linea to $1.3 billion of TVL. So I reached out to him and I told him, look, I have this new journey that I'm doing where I have users, I have developers, and now I need to ramp on liquidity. And this is going to be insane because users on Telegram probably will become the biggest organic activity source. And yields on DeFi are generated from organic activity. So this is going to be really, really interesting for every DeFi application. So I reached out to Tessie and I told him, okay, I need to bring liquidity now. And Turtle, Essie and Turtle are basically the go-to place for every topic related to liquidity. I really would love to say here that basically every founder that needs to ramp on liquidity, Turtle is the best way to go. So we started looking in how to do this. And at that time, Boyko on Berachain just launched, and both me and Essie were user of Boyko. So we said, you know what, this is probably the best way, because before Boyko, liquidity on a new chain were bootstrapped only with private deals. So you get in touch with some liquid fund or hedge fund, you negotiate some liquidity for some time on the network in exchange for some token that you hand over. Boyko changed the narrative by democratizing the access and making this more transparent. So rather than doing backdoor deal with LPs, with Boyko, anyone can become an LP that get into the deal. And we say this is definitely the way to go. And as usual in this crypto world, we try to do some incremental innovation. Being user of Boyko, we understood how Boyko was working. So we basically try to innovate the things that we didn't like a lot in the Boyko approach. And we came up with this new approach that is basically run into the summoning campaign, where we set up vaults on Ethereum mainnet, where people can deploy liquidity into these vaults, and they can start farming future TAC token and additional rewards like Turtle token or beta points or other type of rewards provided by partners. And this liquidity that is farming already TAC token before TAC token will be live, before TAC mainnet will be live, it's going to be bridged over TAC day one. So day one, you will have dApps, you will have users, and with this approach, you will have liquidity. And this turned out to be very successful because the summoning campaign raised already something like $320 million or 330, I don't remember now. But all this liquidity is going to land on TAC on day one, and it's going to start making the DeFi ecosystem that we're building for Ton user fully working already on day one. And on top of this is also the way to onboard new assets on Ton. Because if you set up the Kelp vault on Ethereum mainnet, when this liquidity will be migrated over TAC, Kelp token like RSIT will become available to the Ton user as well. So every Ton user that today can only trade basically Ton LSTs, USDT, and now Athena, they will be able also to trade RSIT, Noon, Resolve, USR, Renzo, hopefully soon EtherFi as well. So this is giving much more asset composition to the Ton users, and it's giving a way for this asset issuer that I mentioned to go live on Ton without having to bootstrap their all like liquidity ecosystem integration and things like this. So this is the summary.
Very impressive. Over 300 million already generated. But can you tell us, is there a date for the launch, or is it still under planning? Any updates?
No, there is a date, like not a specific date. It's gonna happen in May. It's like mostly discussion about the specific listing date, specific launch date. The idea is going live with a developer only mainnet, where we give the time for all these teams to go live and deploy. You know, when you launch a new ecosystem, you need to set up some infrastructure that usually does not depend on us. Like, for example, we need a Gnosis safe contract, right? Because most of these use cases require multi-sig. And we need the team that is deploying the safe contract the time to actually do deployment. We need indexers, we need oracles, so it cannot go live in one day. So we are taking like in May, a couple of weeks for this mainnet, developer mainnet go live. And then we are waiting for a specific date when we can actually launch the TAC token. But it's gonna happen very soon. It's not something that we will delay until like next year, things like this.
Gotcha. Yeah. So anyone that's listening, should go and follow the social media accounts. We're gonna link them. So you won't be surprised when it launches. So,
Yeah.
you have a lot of experience, a lot of both developing and just following both from Bitcoin, then Ethereum, now Ton. Can you share your long-term vision for Web3 and DeFi? Like where do you see us going in in a few years? Where do you see this industry headed?
Yeah, I mean it's very hard to predict. I always reject doing prediction. I can talk about my hope, but it's very far away from being a prediction. Um, like we have seen many cycle, and every cycle has a catalyst event, being NFT, being DeFi summer, being meme coins. We will continue to see this, in my opinion. We will continue to see cycles going behind some catalysts. Now I see that there is too much in the industry. There is too much attention on performances, low latencies, technicalities, like backend technicalities, and there is very close to zero attention when it comes to distribution. What I will hope to see is basically much more attention on the distribution. That's what we are trying to do here. The idea that we have is that crypto users of the future will not even be aware that they're using crypto. That's the power of distribution. The idea of the future is that crypto is going to be a backend infrastructure where primitives will be used for something useful through distribution channels. So I give you an example. What we're trying to do here is to have mini games on Telegram that has millions of monthly active users to start using DeFi on the back to be able to generate new revenue streams. If you talk to mini app developers, like mini game developers, they struggle to make money because the conversion rate is very small, and there are not so many revenue streams, right? Developers usually makes money from advertisement, or they makes money from in-game items, like selling items. And again, conversion rate is around 2%, 1.5 to 2%. And this new paradigm of WeChat or Telegram or Line, for example, reduces a lot the cost to acquire users, a lot, drastically. Like CPM for this ecosystem, it's very low. It's like, I believe, lower than $1,000 of a dollar, basically. I will love not to spit out brown numbers, but I know it's very small. But the issue is that monetizing is still very difficult. So the idea that we want to bring on is basically what I saw on MetaMask happening when MetaMask introduced the swaps. MetaMask used to be a tool for 25 million monthly active users. And then adding swap transformed MetaMask into a distribution channel where MetaMask was making a lot of money. I mean, the dashboard is public, is on Dune. I believe that Consensys made something like $370 million of revenue just by the swaps featured in MetaMask. And all that money was just like a cut that MetaMask was getting on every swap done by people. But every swap done by people was actually triggering aggregators that was executing on DEXs, that was generating fees for their LPs. So just by adding swap into MetaMask, MetaMask started distribute the swap primitives to their user. They made terrible amount of money, but they made value across all the stack until the LPs on the back, So our idea is we want to do the same, but rather than on MetaMask doing it for multiple DeFi primitives across multiple mass market use cases like mini games, like content mini apps. And the idea is that people, of course, it's different because MetaMask users they are the specific target market. They are super aligned. So users on MetaMask, they are keen to swaps. A user going to play a mini game, probably you don't even know that token exists. So why you should swap? So the idea is to basically work with mini app developer to create the right hooks. We call them hooks, like the right reason for people to use DeFi, so that this mini app developer can take a cut out of DeFi primitives that they distribute. Or the developers themselves can use the DeFi primitives on the back. So users come to play a game. They usually have to buy, I don't know, the game booster, just to give you an example. And there is a very small conversion rate. The idea could be that user rather to buy the game booster, they can just lock some USDT. And this will probably being free for them because they are not paying anymore. Being free, this will probably bump the 2% of conversion rate to much higher conversion rate. That means that all this money that user will lock, they can actually be deposited into DeFi, into some low risk strategies that generate the yields. And the game developer can tap into this yield. You know, they can take a cut, they can take the whole yield and use it to create new experiences in the game, you know. So this is going to be a new revenue stream. So the end result, coming back to your question, is a user everywhere in the world playing a game and without even knowing, using DeFi on the back. You know, the user don't even know that he's investing into a low risk yield strategy on DeFi, but it's doing this, you know, so abstracting away the complexity, becoming a more back-end technology, it's probably going to be one of the way for crypto to start going live on mainstream, you know?
Yeah, it's a very interesting approach because, you know, obviously one of the problems with attracting users into DeFi, like users that you go like unaligned, right? People that are not from crypto, not crypto natives, was the UX and the fact that they needed to understand and tackle these really
It's the
complex
trust.
jargon sometimes. Yeah.
If I can, it's the trust, you know, even when you like many times in my experience, I spoke to people, I set up the wallet for them, I told them what to do, and still it's a trust issue, you know. If you don't even know that you are using it, you don't have trust issue anymore, and that's the way to, you know, grow it. And then from there, these people, once you show them that they were using DeFi without even knowing that, they will start, you know, adapting and start to trust what we're doing here. And that's the way to actually have new direct DeFi users rather than coming from a new game.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a very interesting insight. Okay, Marco, so I want to thank you again for taking the time and coming to talk to us. Where should our listeners go to follow you?
Personally, me, it's Marco Monaco 83 on Twitter, but TAC build, it's going to be much better. TAC build.
Great. So we'll have those two in the description. Thank you very much, Marco.
Thank to you, Avi.